Yeah, can you hear me? We're live.
Oilerslive podcast. Oilerslive podcast. Now, get ready to talk hockey. Streaming from the Oilers Live studio. Subscribe or follow today.
Hey, Oilers Live listeners. Michael here. Glad to go live after a good 6-2 drubbing of the Habs at home. I've got with me the Oil Night tonight, SPR. Thanks for joining.
Hey, what's happening?
Oh, good game. Excellent game. You know what? It's good to get out of the 4-game slump. So happy to get out of that. And I haven't done a live show for 2 weeks, not because I was scared, but just hadn't been able to get around to it. But happy to do one for sure when we're 6-2 game. So let's start. Before we get into the game, a couple things. Want to talk about? Actually, no. Sorry. You know what? Let's talk about the game first, and then we'll talk about a couple other things. I know I've got you. It's midnight where you are, so we're not going to keep you all night, and we'll take some callers tonight and do that sort of thing. But first, your thoughts on the game in general.
It was a good effort for sure. I mean, everybody seemed to have lots of energy, and the Draisaitl-McDavid line worked out, which is nice. Long term, I'm not quite sure how that's gonna work on the other lines, but for now, it was certainly productive. And I mean, quite frankly, it was a game we should have won. You know, Montreal is, I guess, I saw the record there. They're the worst team against Western Conference in the league. Historically, the Oilers seem to own them. And, yeah, we kind of imposed our will, I think, kind of took it to them. It's not really a surprise. But, I mean, hey, we broke a 4-game losing streak, so that's a bonus. The key, obviously, is going to be following this up, right? Like, this is a game you pretty much... not a gimme, but as close to as you would think. But the next couple of games here, back-to-back Saturday and Sunday, those would be the keys. They can follow up with the kind of effort they had tonight and puts them in the back of net. But it was definitely nice to see 3 defensemen get goals tonight. That's something we don't usually see too often.
Well, that matches our defensive scoring for the year, I think. So we just doubled our defensive scoring.
Yeah, and I just heard real quickly there, I heard McClellan talk about Draisaitl, said he could have won the scoring title tonight by himself.
Oh.
He had so many chances. I don't know if he had 10 grade A chances or whatever it was, but so I mean that's encouraging. But again, it's one game, right? We're just coming off a 4-game losing streak, so I'm not too excited. But it's a start. Let's see if we can follow it up now on the weekend.
Yeah. So to your point, right? Like that's one of the things that I watched tonight. You're always happy for an Oilers win. You can't not be happy about that. But you look at this, and Niemi was awful. That was as bad a goaltending performance as I've seen. Granted, he stole some goals from Draisaitl, but he let that Nuge goal. While it was a nice shot, I'd be pounding my head against the wall if Talbot or Koskinen let that in. And even the Kajula goal, how that snuck through, I don't know.
Yeah, that was all.
Yeah, so, Niemi wasn't doing Montreal any favors. Granted, the Oilers, I think, did they actually hit 40 40 shots for the night. I think they were pretty darn close. I know they're at 39 last I looked. So that was my
43.
thought. Yeah, 43. Yeah. So, it's and that's still an under 900 save percentage. The one thing that I liked was, we started out the first period, with a little bit of urgency. It wasn't the typical sort of Oilers slow start, but then, we go into the second and a third, and the first 5 minutes of both periods, we looked like we were ready to give it back to them. So that's kind of, that kind of attitude. I don't know what it is. Is it, like a cockiness that gets into this team or what? But Scrub 64 says Niemi's the only reason this wasn't an 11-2 game. Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree. He sure stole a couple from Draisaitl, but at the same time, he let in some really weak ones, and I think that's tough for a team to come back from. I mean, we know as Oilers fans, right? I mean, anytime the goalie lets in an easy one, it's just too much, right?
Yeah. That betting one was awful, and that happened to Koskinen, I guess, in Detroit. Kind of the same idea, bounced off the board and right off the back of him. So he did make some big saves, but he also gave us a couple of gifts, right? So I think in the end, it kind of evens out more than anything.
Yeah, no, exactly. That shot, what about Koskinen? Your thought on him? That shot by Domi was outstanding. I mean, that was a tough one. And, the Shaw one went under his arm. I think, that's tough for any goaltender to get. The puck comes out straight out from behind the net, and absolutely nobody had Shaw. So Shaw gets a free shot. You got to be pretty quick to save that. But your thoughts overall on Koskinen tonight?
Yeah, I don't think he had to make too many big saves. I still think, I mean, when you have a 6'7" goalie coming out 10 feet out from the net to take away the angle, there shouldn't be any net to shoot from. Like 6'7", 10 feet out. Like I'm no expert, but I'm pretty sure that he should pretty much take up all that net. Somehow, it was an amazing shot by Domi, don't get me wrong. I just feel like he was kind of leaning too much to his right. And when the shot was taken, he kind of left the left part of the net open to it. But, I mean, whatever. Domi made it work. He buried it, so I'm not too worried about that. And like you said, the other goal, there's not much he could do about that. So it was a relatively quiet game. I don't know how many scoring chances, and I'm sure the guys at Cult of Hockey, they always put out their grade A scoring chances. What do you think the scoring chances were overall? It kind of seemed like it was almost 3-1 or 4-1 for Edmonton.
Yeah, it had to be at least that. I mean, Edmonton did do a good job for the most part of keeping the Habs to the outside. The one thing though that I was a little bit disappointing. I know we had an all right PK tonight, but the Habs weren't that far off from scoring a couple, those through the slot tip-ins, right? Like, they were about an inch. It's a game of inches, right? But it seemed to me like the Oilers weren't prepared for that. And, that's the kind of thing you typically get. I haven't watched the Habs enough to know if that's a typical power play for them, but I assume it is. Domi just missed a couple guys in the slot for that tip-in, which – that's something we don't do as a team. We'll get to the power play, but I would say you're right, 3-1. One of the things I wanted to talk about tonight before we take any calls, let's talk about a couple of the defense. On a couple of days ago on Oilers Now with Stauffer, he had Chiarelli on, and one of the things Chiarelli said was, not one of our 6 starting D are exceptional passers. And I thought, that's Spector was today. Spector was quite hard on Chiarelli for that, to say, after 4 years, that's pretty brave for you to come out and say that. And he's right. I think if that's the way Shirelli feels, then he's got to do something about that. And he's certainly got the power to try to do something about that. But I watched today. There's nothing as you know, and you've watched all year, and there's nothing exceptional about our breakout for sure, except when McDavid gets the puck before the blue line and goes end to end. Other than that, I mean, we don't have anything. But so my whole point in bringing this up, though, is I thought, and you tell me what your thoughts were. I thought our worst defense tonight were Clefbaum and Larson, and a guy that I've been particularly hard on all year has been Benning, and I thought he had a hell of a game tonight.
Yeah, he's starting to get his act together. He really struggled at the beginning of the season, as we know. I would say the last 4 or 5 games, he's gotten a lot better. He just seemed to kind of settle down a little bit more. He's not, I don't know if he's not running around as much or what, but yeah, he seems to be making better decisions than that. Whereas I think Nurse is kind of the opposite. I think he's struggled the last at least 4 or 5 games, maybe a little bit more. I'm the biggest Darnell Nurse fan out there, but it just baffles me some of the icings that he gets hit for. He just, like, as far as passing goes, like you said, there's not a lot of great passers on defense, and he just makes sometimes he just makes, when he's not confident, he's not playing well, he gets lazy and he just makes those, for lack of a better word, bonehead passes that end up icing, and those could come back and bite you, right? So I think he's kind of struggled a little bit lately, and Benning's kind of picked it up, so they kind of balance each other out a little bit. But I was really impressed with the Gravel-Russell pair tonight. I've mentioned this before. I've been pretty much impressed with Gravel since preseason. I mean, he's solid. He makes a good first pass. I like his game, and I like how he wins a lot of battles, a lot of puck battles. As soon as it's in his corner, he's quick to get that stick in there and get that puck, and then he just fires it to Russell or his partner and gets it out of there. Yeah. And then he had a couple plays where he kept the puck in the offensive zone. He's got a good shot. He moves well. There's a lot to like about him. So when you say there's no puck movers, and Shirelli said there's no guys that are great passers on his team, I agree with that, although I feel like he has addressed it somewhat in drafting Evan Bouchard, and I think Ethan Bear is one of the best passers in their organization, and he's on his way. And I think Gravel is an upgrade over a guy like Matt Benning, for example, as far in terms of passing.
Yeah. So
it's not like he hasn't done anything, but for the most part, yeah. I mean, I think it was an honest assessment by him.
Yeah. So I think. And I mean, my hat's off to him for being honest. It's Spector's right. It's a brave thing to say when you're the GM, and that's your role to get those guys in the organization. My thought on Gravel is exactly the same as yours. He's been, for the most part, I love a defenseman when he's not noticed, and there's a lot of times I don't notice Gravel doing something stupid out there, and I've noticed a few other players doing that. What I did notice, you talked about Nurse, and he's been making some bad decisions over the past 5 games. I don't know if you noticed in the third period, he skated over into the blue line, and any other game, as he skates into the offensive zone, he would have taken that to the net. I know it was near the end of a shift, but he's got the puck on the left side, which is the side he likes. He skated in the blue line, then he dumped it in. First thing that came to mind is, he's obviously been talked to a little bit about that, and so he did the right thing, and that's good. I like to see those things. I like to see when a player is, starting to think a little bit and do something a little bit different. Scrub says Benning threw a nice Cronwall tonight. He's right there. That's good.
Yeah.
Now let's talk. You were critical, as was just about everybody, on the line match or the lineups, line pairings. your thoughts. I mean, McDavid and Draisaitl. Everybody knows they're deadly together.
Mm-hmm.
Is this something we can carry on game after game? Is Nuge the right guy to carry a second line? What's your thought on that?
Well, I think just based on past history, what we've seen is this will probably work for a few games, and then teams will figure it out, and we'll get teams that'll match up hard against us, that top line, and then we're relying on the second and third lines to come through, and then typically that hasn't happened. So it is a good kick in the ass to get those two together and kind of get some momentum and get rid of that streak and guys feeling good about themselves. It may carry over into the weekend as well, and hopefully we can beat Vegas and Calgary. But I think long term, I don't think it's the best idea. But at this point, does the coach really have a lot of options? And he probably doesn't. And part of me thinks they're trying to buy some time. They're trying to sneak out a few wins here, just so Yamamoto and Puljujarvi can get some ice time down in Bakersfield.
Yeah.
From what I heard in Chiarelli's interview, it sounded like they could be back sooner than you think. I think he actually said that for a quote. They'll be back. They could be back sooner than you think. So maybe they're just kind of stalling and they're trying to, just ride their top guys for a bit, for a few games, and just buy themselves some time, and then bring those guys up, and then they'll shuffle the lines again. But if they don't, I mean, long term, I don't see. And Reeder got hurt tonight too. I don't know how, say a Lucic, Hopkins, Chason line or Ratty line. I don't see how that's really going to contribute a lot, but you do what you got to do, I guess, to get wins, and it worked for at least for one night tonight. So
yeah, and keep in mind it's Montreal, right? So while their record doesn't indicate they're a bottom half team, their goaltending has been awful this year. So it's it wasn't a bad idea, maybe in hindsight. I was critical as well of those line pairings, but we'll see. I you know what though, we talked early in the season about Ratty, and if he's not playing with McDavid, what's the point of having him in the lineup? And I'll tell you tonight, I was impressed. He played his game. And he played third line minutes, which can be hard going from first line minutes to third line minutes. He did well. And the other guy that it's impressed me, has been Kajula, right? Like he's been an all-purpose player. He's been up and down the lineup, and the goal wasn't pretty that he got tonight, but I think that that's. That's kind of the game he's kind of had. Scrub64 asks, we're creeping up on possible return of Sekera mid-December. Do you guys have any confidence in Sekera stepping in right away? Yeah, what's your thought on that?
Well, that's a good question. I'm not certain that it's going to be mid-December. I know, just listening from what Chiarelli was talking about, he said he wasn't necessarily skating. He just kind of hit the ice, and it kind of sounded like he was still a ways away. I would expect probably sometime after. When's the All-Star break? Is that in January or February?
I think January.
Yeah. Well, I would think probably sometime in January, and they're going to want to be cautious with him, and I'm sure he's going to be cautious as well. He's not going to rush back. This is his second major injury, leg injury. The last thing he wants to do is shorten his rehab or rush it and come back and get hurt again, right? And that's the last thing the Oilers want. So they're going to be extra cautious with him. They're going to drag this out probably as long as they can. And then when he does come back, is he going to be effective? I mean, I'm not really sure. I mean, it's tough to tell. He didn't look great last year when he came back from injury. Now he's coming back from another one. They basically off for 2 years. So I would be concerned. I kind of hope, just for his sake, just the person himself, I kind of hope he takes the year off and just like, you know what, I don't want to rush it, and I'm still not right. I want to rehab a bit more and don't risk, because this is a career injury. If he comes back early and he gets hurt again, he's finished. Right? So why rush it? If the Oilers aren't desperate for him and they're not confident, in how he's going to respond, then if I'm the player myself, I don't rush it. Just take the rest of the year and take the summer off and come back 100% next year, right? You come back and the team makes the playoffs, and you got to push in the playoffs. I don't know. I'd be concerned for sure. So I wouldn't count on him at all. I'm still writing him off, and if he comes back early, I'm still not convinced he's going to be effective. What do you think?
Yeah, I am very much not convinced he'll be effective. In fact, I've got zero confidence that he'll come back and be the player we expected him to be 2 years ago. I mean, how can you do that after being out of the game for that long? And last year, if last year's any indication, then he doesn't have it in him to do that. He's not, he's not a young player anymore as far as players go. And, Scrub brings up a good point. He says, I'd like to see him on a conditioning stint. Yeah, I don't know. I have to look. What are the rules on that? Can they send him down for a little while before they bring him up without having to clear waivers?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They did that to Clefbaum, didn't they? Was that last year? I think he went down for a bit. I'm pretty sure they can go down for.
Yeah, there's got to be some rule for IR, right? I'm not familiar with it, but the point is he's not. I'd be very, very surprised if he's ready, and I'm a little bit. I'd be very cautious of bringing him in right away. Past history, right? I hope that it doesn't ruin the lineup, but at the same time, I'd have to say that I haven't been enamored with their defense this year. So maybe something to change isn't necessarily a bad thing, right? But it's a good point, right? Like we're mid-November, right? That's a month away potentially for him to be back. I keep waiting for them to say he's just going to retire, but I doubt that's going to happen. Let's talk about the power play quickly.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, yeah. No, sorry to interrupt you, but let's talk about the power play because we're talking about defense. We've seen a different power play this year. I'll give McClellan that. But it's the same thing night after night, and I'm sure you don't think it's been successful. I don't think it's been successful. And tonight was, highlighted. Like, Clefbaum either needs to shoot the puck or get off the power play. Thoughts there?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's the whole point. See, I'm a little bit I don't know. I put this out on Twitter earlier. I don't know if he's just lacking confidence or if his shot just sucks. He can't hit the net. That's why he's not taking the shot. Or, he's tweaked a shoulder or something, heaven forbid. We hope that doesn't happen. He's got some type of nagging injury that's kind of limiting him from doing that. But he is not the same Clefbaum from 2 years ago when he was, running the power play and just unleashing those bombs. Something's up with him. It's either in his head or it's something physical or whatever. But if he's not killing it from the point, then that really hurts the power play. And then of course we still don't have. The most frustrating part of this power play for me is we don't have a right shot out there for a one-timer. We put Ty Ratty out there. Okay, we finally have a right shot, but we put him in front of the net. Well, what fucking good is that?
Yeah.
Do you have a right shot? Don't you want to utilize that and put him on the left circle and give yourself another weapon there? Like, I don't understand the thinking behind that. I
think given how they're playing the power play, it really doesn't matter. right? Tonight they had 4 quarterbacks, right? And one guy down low, and that's Ratty, right? Like, you can't run a power play with 4 quarterbacks. You know, you're already you're a perimeter. You got a perimeter shot. Then it doesn't matter. Like Ratty or Lucic or anybody, we were arguing. You know, we were complaining about Lucic not getting in front of the net, and you know, why would he have to? Nobody's taking a shot anyway, right? Like, we're trying to pass the puck in the net on the power play, and we don't need to. I like put Benning out there. I've absolutely been hard on Benning all season, but you know, if he's going to shoot the puck, throw him out there. I just, you know, you can't have 4 quarterbacks. Scrub says Nuge was net front at times, which he didn't like. You know, I mean, you don't have a guy like Nuge in the front of the net. It doesn't matter. I'd put, you know, if you're not going to put Ratty, you know, out there, you know, at the dot for the shot, then you know, put Chase on. At least he'll get in front of the puck, right? And and put Benning out on D, or somebody. Like, it can't be any worse than it is. You know, the only reason we ever score is McDavid. Like, I almost hope that we lose the draw and the puck goes into our zone, so they can get McDavid the puck and he can have a quick entry and we can, you know, hopefully get a quick goal. And that's not the way I want to watch, right? Like, that's not a power play.
Yeah,
that's a rush.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, it's frustrating for me.
Everybody rips Lucic and saying, well, you get him off the power play, he's not doing anything. But really, he's the only guy that kind of consistently goes to the net. Now, the new thing in the NHL is the trendy thing now is that you can hear even the broadcasters and all that are trying to pump it hard, is this flash screen where you just skate by the goalie and screen him for a second and then get out of the way just as the puck is coming. Well, I don't know how effective that is. I guess that remains to be seen, but they keep talking about that all the time, this flash screen. I don't see why you don't just take Lucic, just park his big ass in front of the net, and just keep unloading bombs. Just keep shooting. It's not that complicated.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's not. And a lot of power plays are successful because of that. Although, you know, I have to say, we need a defenseman that can hit the net, too. How many did we have? How many shots would we have had if our guys were hitting the net? I don't know.
Well, for sure. And we were talking about this there on Twitter not too long ago. The guy, Evan Bouchard, would be that guy if he was still here, but McClellan never went to him enough when he was here on that first power play. So we never got to see that. We never got that opportunity really to see that. And I'm okay with that, because if their intention was to send them back to London from the beginning, you don't want to tempt yourself by now giving them, you know, power play time and all second guessing yourself, right? So I'm fine with that. But the guy right now, to me, that is the best option for this team moving forward to run the power play is Ethan Bear. He's the guy I would trust the most to get that shot off. Quick shot. He's got that great slap pass, and he's got such a quick release. He would be the perfect guy, I would think, to run this power play now. Now he's got more experience in that. So I would be comfortable with him running it, but he's in the AHL right now, just coming back from injuries. So in the meantime, you know, you got to make it work with somebody else. But ultimately, I would hope that he's going to be the guy that's going to be running this power play moving forward, at least this year.
Yeah, I think you have to. I'm not going to say Clefbaum's been a bust, because he's been better this year. I don't know if he's, but he's not anywhere near where we'd expect him to be. And, you know, we've not seen any of the Clef bombs this year, which, you know, was supposed to be a thing. And that's just not happened. I'm going to open up the phone line. So if you want to call in, you can. SPR and I are going to keep on chatting about the game, but give us a call, 587-907-5483, 587-907-LIVE. You know, just say again, good game, 6-2. Let's chat a little bit. If for those of you listening that haven't ever had the chance, go Matt Mosowich is a great follow, and he is he's a fellow that he puts all the prospects together, and you find him on Twitter at EDM Future Watch, so Edmonton Future Watch. And every week he pretty much puts together who's playing where. I assume, Sean, you follow him too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like it's just you don't have to look anywhere. You just go to his Twitter, and you find it. I haven't been to his YouTube lately. Is he still? I assume he's still posting for the most part. Posting all the latest. It looks like he's kind of slowed down on that. I know he got a new position in Regina, but he still kind of gives us as much information as he can. So you go there. How's our buddy Bush doing in London right now?
He's doing good. He's the man down there again, and he's getting plenty of ice time. He has free reign. The coaches kind of let him do what he wants to do offensively, and he's running the power play. They've got Boakfist and Bouchard on the power play, and Bouchard's typically on the left side, so he's setting up for the one-timer a lot, which is good. But he's going coast to coast and showing off his offensive skill. He still needs work defensively, but he's coming along, and it's going to be a good test this year because the OHL is really deep. That's one thing people fail to realize. There's a lot of top prospects that got sent back to the OHL this year. And there's a lot of big boys in the OHL, like Sarah Noel and Isaac Ratcliffe. And it's going to be a tough challenge. The Knights look like they're loaded. They look like they're going to make a deep run now with Formanton and Bouchard back. So he's definitely going to be tested, especially come playoff time and Memorial Cup, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah, how's Formanton looked since he's been back? And for those of you that don't know, Formanton is left winger, right? Speedy left winger, or is he playing center?
No, he's a left winger.
Yeah,
and that's one of the things we were talking. Yeah, one of the things we were talking about on our podcast last night was, Bouchard. A lot of people say, well, Bouchard, there's nothing he can learn in London when he goes back. Well, first of all, Dale Hunter is a Hall of Fame junior coach. They put out more guys in the NHL than anybody. He knows how to get these guys ready for the NHL. He played over 1,400 games in the NHL himself. He's no dummy. He knows what he's doing. This is arguably the best junior program in all of hockey.
Yeah,
all of junior hockey. So he's going back to a great system and a great coach. But the Knights run a fast-paced system. Like, they're fast, they're aggressive. Alex Formanton, while he's not as fast as Connor McDavid, he's pretty damn close. And Liam Foodie's about just as fast as well. And those guys are first and second round picks in the NHL. So, like, Bouchard's going to be playing with guys. It's almost like a simulation of Edmonton. They do a lot of stretch passes. He's playing with a lot of speedy players. He's playing with a lot of talent. So, and he's running the power play, and he's rushing the puck a lot. I think it's going to be good for him. Like, when he goes into camp next year for Edmonton and he kind of steps in, hopefully he doesn't miss a beat. He's used to playing with these elite players that he can just continue to do what he's doing. Whereas if he stayed in Edmonton, for example, and he's only getting 10 or 11 minutes a game and he's kind of bouncing in and out of the lineup, well, you kind of question his confidence going into next season. Well, how good does he feel about himself and his game if he's not getting enough looks or enough touches, right? So yeah. I'm pretty confident. And I love the situation here. And honestly, I think you're going to see a totally different player next year. He comes to Edmonton, he's going to be oozing with confidence, and he's had so much repetition by the time the season's over. He's going to have so much confidence. I think he's just going to go in there, step right in from day one, and he's going to be the power play quarterback, power play one, and I think he's going to do fantastic. So that's kind of my thoughts.
Yeah, and I mean the assumption would be he's going to play World Junior as well, right? So that's how exciting is that going to be for him, and that should be one hell of a team this year, I think, with a good shot. It'd be good. Actually, it'd be a good tournament this year. All in all, I mean, there's some. The U.S. will have a good team. It should be fun to watch. But and that's another thing. Like that's going to be some good hockey, right? And that's good experience for a guy. You talk about having a winning attitude, right? And I can't see that being a bad thing. I have no doubt. That makes it a little bit easier to be sent down when you know that that's ahead of you, and then of course to have some of the guys back in London was probably pretty good too. Yeah, so let's talk to a couple things around the league. What's your thoughts on this Wilson reduction, the going from 20 to 14 games? He scored tonight, by the way. He actually ended up with 16 games, but he scored on his game back. Any thoughts on that, or do you even care?
Well, I think it's kind of funny how this arbitrator keeps overruling or keeps reducing suspensions. I think they've done it the last 3 times or something. The commissioner's not too happy about that. For me, difference between 14 games, 20 games, I don't know. I guess monetarily it counts, but yeah, I don't really have an opinion. He got suspended. It was a harsh suspension either way. In fact, they let him off the hook a few games. It doesn't really move the needle for me.
Yeah, I don't know that I care. I mean, he did go 16. He'll just get some money back. Yeah. He's he plays a rough game. I didn't see who was it? There was Bufflin. Did Bufflin even get a hearing for that hit the other day? I didn't even look.
I don't think.
The one
probably got a call. About? Just be careful, and that's about it.
Yeah, because that one, that's not too far away from a Wilson type hit. Bufflin's just a huge guy. For those of you that are huge Adam Larson fans, 4-point night for Taylor Hall tonight. And that's all we're gonna talk about. I'm happy for Hall to get points. I like Larson. He had a shit night tonight, but I like Larson.
Yeah. I'm not even gonna comment. I'm so over that. Who cares?
Me too. I took some notes tonight of what happened. What's your thought about as we what about Nylander? I mean, they've got under a month now. Would you, if you were in the GM seat, would you take him on your team? Like here,
for sure.
Here in Edmonton, Who would you take him for if you could get? I don't think there's a hope in hell we could get him. But
no.
The latest, at least, and there's always a lot of shit going on Twitter. LeBrun was saying Florida and Matheson there. But that's kind of a crazy thing, right? I mean, everybody was touting Dubas, right, when he signed Tavares, and my outlook on it always was he didn't really do anything. I mean, Tavares said he used to sleep in Maple Leafs pajamas. I think he still might. And so, was that really Dubas, or was that the Leafs, like the history and everything that got him over there? Because Dubas promised they'd have all those guys, right? All those guys signed, but they can't get Nylander, so that promise is long gone. Core 4 under 24 on tomorrow night, I think, for TSN. Are you familiar with this? Did you hear about this?
No. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so last year TSN released like the 4 players under 24. They call it the core 4 under 24, and they do it every year.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So last year they had, I think Edmonton was number 2, with, of course, McDavid, Draisaitl, Nurse, and Puljujarvi. And in true TSN style, the Leafs were number 1. Matthews, Riley, Nylander, and Marner. Your thoughts there? Oilers still, you think they still have the best young team in the league?
Yeah, I do. I heard, I saw Frank Cirelli yapping about it tonight.
I know he's
Colorado
a favorite.
Huh?
I said he's a favorite. Right? Cirelli is a favorite. Yeah. So sorry, go ahead. Go on.
Well, he was talking about how Colorado's moving up there pretty quickly. I still think the Oilers are the best, but I was just going to touch on Nylander there. With Nylander, I think that Kasperi Kapanen has done really well in Toronto, and they need defense, right? So I think it's pretty much a foregone conclusion they're going to trade Nylander for somebody. Like you said, Florida and Carolina's pretty much made it known, and Bob McKenzie was talking about that tonight again. They pretty much made it known that they'd be all in for Nylander. So it would make sense. Excuse me. Make sense for the Leafs to trade him. But yeah, if you compare them to Edmonton, I still think Edmonton's best. They're the best because they have the best player, right? And Draisaitl, I would still take Draisaitl over. I would take Draisaitl over Austin Matthews. I don't care. And and then you add Bouchard to the list too now, and that's a pretty good. That's a pretty good core right there. Who did they have for the fourth one? Was it Nurse? Who did they put with Draisaitl, McDavid, Bouchard?
Puljujarvi. They had Puljujarvi at the time.
Oh, Puljujarvi.
Well, yeah.
Buck's still out on that.
Yeah. And you're right. We may never know. Edmonton might never know what kind of player he is. We might not know until he gets traded. Unfortunately, I don't want to get too much into that. The whole thing kind of drives me nuts. We were talking about.
Well, the thing is,
sorry, go ahead.
Who cares though, right? Well, who cares who the best 4 under 24 or whatever the hell it is? It's like who's better, Matthews or McDavid? It doesn't really matter. Like, who really cares, right? A lot of this is just subjective anyways. But TSN loves anytime they can mention Matthews and the Maple Leafs, their young core, and that they're going to bring it up. So let's make up these fucking holes, and that way we can kind of promote it. It just, I don't know. It just bugs me more than anything. I don't really watch TSN or Sportsnet other than when the hockey games are on.
Yeah, and, what's the word on Matthews, right? I mean, is he, going to be out every year with some type of injury? I think that we don't know yet for sure. He plays a different game, right? He may need to learn like Taylor Hall, right? Hall had the same problems that, but that hit that he took from Trouba, like that looked like it hurt. And, that was Matthews' fault, driving straight into the middle. As why anybody would have been pissed off at Trouba for that is beyond me. Like, that was Matthews wasn't even pissed off at him. I mean, it was a good hit, but just a bad play. We talk about shots by a defenseman. Persson, the kid that's out playing in the SHL, is second in shots on goal so far. I kind of wish that Matt was still posting some video. I went to go have a look at some of his work on Edmonton Future Watch, but I haven't seen anything from Persson yet. So that's still in the wings. I mean, there are defensemen out there that are in the system for Edmonton. That Bouchard obviously being number one, but. Our D-corps could change drastically over the next year to 2 years, and we're the youngest team in the league right now. You take that, and you take the fact that we've got McDavid and maybe you get you find a defenseman that can move the puck and the future's still bright, right? If we can just sort of hold on this year. Yeah, according to I went on The Athletic every year. Myrtle does a sizing up the NHL. So this year, average age, Edmonton's the lowest with 25.5. Montreal is second lowest. Oldest team in the league is Minnesota, 28.9. Yeah, and Pittsburgh right after that.
Yeah. Anaheim's got to be up there too, you would think.
Anaheim is... Actually, they're not. 26.1. Now, these are averages, right? So it could be any, a group of 2-3 players that change that average. But there's only 5 teams that are under the 26 mark: Winnipeg, Carolina, Columbus, Montreal, and Edmonton. And Winnipeg, they're going to be a powerhouse for at least a couple more years. The Nashville game and San Jose, Nashville's up 4-3. I've got that on beside me. Nashville as well. Nashville's a little bit older, though. They're 27.7. They just look so good this year. Probably one of the best teams. I'm going to, as I said before, open up the phone lines. If anybody wants to call in tonight, please do. It's 587-907-5483. Call, chat with SPR and myself. I know we've got quite a number of listeners across every platform right now, so people are listening, but would love to hear your thoughts. And, just chat some Oilers hockey. I think, a night when we win 6-2, it's a good night to chat hockey. I'll be at the game on Saturday, by the way. So that'd be exciting. I'm actually going to, I'll be in San Jose on Thursday to watch the Leafs and San Jose. And then Saturday I'm going to watch, I'll be at the Battle of Alberta game here in Calgary. So
that'll be fun.
Yeah. I'm excited to see the San Jose Toronto game. If only that we've got 2 teams that there's a lot of hype about, and want to see them. I haven't watched enough of both teams. I've watched a lot of Nashville games, but I haven't watched a lot of San Jose games. So I'm really kind of curious to see how that team looks live. And Toronto, of course. I mean, Toronto should be all the hype. We know everything there is to know about it. And if you ever tune into TSN. You must get it like 98% of every day out there in London.
Well, that's what people say. That's why I don't tune into TSN or Sportsnet at all. I just block it all out. Everything for me is just online. I log into 6:30 chat and listen to Stopper Show. I listen to Sirius Radio. I don't even bother with TSN or Sportsnet because it's just exhausting. It's just so ridiculous.
So Blundin brings up a good point. By the way, he says we should be talking about the upcoming game with Calgary. Let's chat about that because we've got I'll probably run for another 10 minutes if you're good with that. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, and if we get a call, then it's your call if you want to drop. And I know it's just about 1 o'clock there. But let's chat about Monday. Your thoughts? You put Koskinen back in between the pipes, or do you give Talbot the shot to redeem himself?
No, I think you put Koskinen in for sure, and then you go from there. If he has a really good game, let's say he shuts them out or whatever, then I would seriously consider just playing him again the next night because I think we're back to back, aren't we? With Vegas, I think we play Vegas. Sunday night.
Vegas is Sunday night. Yeah.
Yeah. So you would think they're going to give Talbot one of them, probably the second of the back to back. But again, like I said, if Koskinen's hot, he pitches a shutout or has a huge game, fuck it, just come back with him again for the next game. That's probably what I would do. what would you do?
Yeah, I the only thing, well, I never get a sense for what McClellan is actually going to do. So, so my thought would be the logical thing would be to put Koskinen in net. He played, there was not. It's like you said, there was nothing exceptional tonight about his game, but he was solid. And even the 2 goals that he did let in, Domi's, yeah, maybe he could have played it a little bit differently, played a bit different angle, but that was a hell of a shot. And the Snow goal, I just think, any goalie, that's a bit of just make yourself big and hope that, he hits you. My thought would be to put Koskinen in net. The only reason I might put Talbot is last year he had history, right? The last couple of years he's played well against Calgary. And anytime we've put the backup in, we've had some. Of course, we had Brossoit, but so I might think about putting Talbot in Calgary and then Koskinen back in Vegas and seeing how Koskinen plays in Vegas, and then see if he runs the floor from there. But I think the right thing is to put Koskinen in. He's deserved it so far. Like, he's not. I don't think he's been exceptional either. It's not. He hasn't sort of come out and, in my mind, stolen the show where you have no choice. But he's definitely been better than Talbot.
Well, it'd be interesting to see what Calgary does if they roll out Mike Smith, who traditionally has played pretty well against the Oilers in the past, or if they put out David Rittich, who's just destroying him numbers-wise. I mean, Rittich has played 8 games and Mike Smith played 12, so that's enough of a sample size. Yeah. Rittich's, his goals against average is 191, and Mike Smith is 351, and the save percentage is 935 for Rittich and 877 for Mike Smith. So I think if I'm an Oilers fan, I'm hoping they throw Mike Smith out there, and hopefully we can light him up and maybe Lucic slap him across the head again.
Yeah, Smith has been absolutely awful. Here's the other thing, right? Is if you put Koskinen in, I think in a game like the Calgary game, given where Calgary's been having struggles this year, which is starting from behind, I don't think you want to have Talbot in there who always starts slow, right? Like, he never seems ready for that first shot. And, I've stopped thinking it's the whole team and started thinking that's Talbot, right? Like, that he has a hard time, feeling the puck off the whistle, right? The starting whistle. And I think that, you put Koskinen in, you hope that you get the early lead on Calgary and get in their head early and go from there. But back to my other point, you could play Talbot, right? Like, I don't know. It's McClellan, so it's kind of got me confused a little bit.
Well, I think it's got to be Koskinen. Throw him out against Calgary, and they've never seen him before, so they don't know what the hell is going on. But hopefully he can kind of stone them and frustrate them a bit. Calgary's a funny team. Like, they can look like world beaters some nights, and other nights they just look like complete shit, right? So, I'm hoping it's Koskinen against Smith, although because it is the Battle of Alberta, they'll probably go with their hot goalie as well. And it'll probably be Koskinen and Rittich, and who would have thought that at the beginning of the year?
Yeah, and I've watched Rittich play. He's been really good. Like, it's not been luck. Sometimes, and you've played the game, right? You play differently for different goalies, right? Depending on how they play. Mm-hmm. And it could be that the defense of Calgary is just better set up for a guy like Rittich. I haven't paid that close attention to that, but that's Scrub's calling him Costco. Koskinen. Is that's his new nickname? Probably.
Well, I know Dustin Nielsen had a thing out there. Give us a nickname for Koskinen. I was trying to get one going, but nobody seemed to like it. I like the idea of calling him Iceberg because he's huge and he's cool as ice.
Yeah.
And, you know, the whole Finnish Aki Berg, well, Iceberg, but nobody seemed to like that, so that died.
So it looks like maybe Costco might be going. I missed that one. So Nielsen put that out.
Yeah.
Couple things quickly, and then we'll round it off for the night. I haven't had a chance to fully listen to your show last night. So those of you listening or going to be listening, our guest here, SPR, put out a pod last night with Dirtbag Donnie and is it Tyler Campbell? Is that his name?
Tyler Campbell.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I know you guys, you're always an enjoyable listen. Certainly a little bit different than I am, and some of it makes me cringe sometimes, but in a good way. and for the most part, I listened to about the first 5-10 minutes, but it was late at night, so before I put that up. So anyway, you can go to the Oilerslive channel and download that, iTunes, wherever you get podcasts, Spotify, etc., Stitcher, Google Play. They're all there. You guys have anything planned for your next one yet?
Not yet. No, we've kind of dialed it back a little bit. When we get to around this time, I'd like to get into scouting a little bit more. I'm going to be focusing on the Knights and following Bouchard around and some of our other prospects in the OHL. That's kind of my first love, right? So yeah. I got a busy schedule as it is, but when I do have free time, I'm going to ramp it up here for, mock drafts and things like that as well. So, but we'll keep the podcast going here and there. We'll try and, at least put one out every couple of weeks kind of thing. But right now we don't have any other plans for any special guests yet, although I have promised a few people that I would bring them on.
Yeah, I've got some plans. I've been so busy lately. End of year is always tough for me. So I've got, but I do have a number of people lined up. I'll likely have the producer of Ice Guardians and Making Cocoa, Adam Scorgi, on. So just got to schedule one with him. And then there's a couple other folks. Just some cool ones. Scrubs asked what happened to the Detroit audio we were supposed to get. I was wondering the same. I kept waiting for some recordings, some interviews, or a few too many road pops.
Yeah, well, that's a good question. So here's the deal. We went to the bar, Harry's, a Detroit bar, before the game, and they were playing the Michigan game, and they were absolutely blaring it. So we tried to do a test in the bar, and it wasn't working. Like, you could barely hear us because they had the speakers just cranked, right? So we pre-drank for like 3 hours there. So that kind of kicked the crap out of that idea. And then once we got to the stadium, to be perfectly honest, I had a lot of pops, and it got to the point where I was so enamored by Little Caesars Arena and just hanging out with all the guys. They were having such a good time. I just kind of said, "Oh, fuck it," and I didn't bother doing it. I just kind of enjoyed the trip. It was all pleasure and no business in the end. But we, in our podcast last night, we did kind of touch on it a little bit. But yeah, I must say it's my favorite arena that I've been to, and I've been to a bunch. And the people in Detroit they're just, everybody there, the hockey fans there, they're fantastic. They all know their stuff, and they all love Canadians.
Yeah. We
were like celebrities walking to the place, and even at the bar afterwards, all these people were coming up to us. We were all wearing Oilers jerseys at the bar at an Irish pub, and all these people were coming up to us, and they wanted to talk hockey. It was just a fabulous experience. I love it. I'm going to go back and do it every year, hopefully.
Yeah.
Because it's just a stone throw away from Canada. You take the tunnel from Windsor, and it's like 10 minutes. Once you get out of the tunnel, it's like 10 minutes from there. It's so close to Canada. So it's awesome. We had a great time, and yeah, I'm sorry we didn't get the podcast out. Maybe next year.
Well, you know what? I thought it was a little bit ambitious. You know, you get a bunch of rowdy Oilers fans out in one place, and the last thing you're thinking of is recording some interviews. It's more about the party and just enjoying the moment. You know, we don't, as most people know, we don't get paid to do this, so might as well enjoy the moments that you get when you're out on the road and in a nice arena. A couple of things just want to touch on before we call it a night. You know, I've been pushing this hard, and it's the Oilerslive Cup. No registration fee. In fact, the only reason not the only reason, but the big reason I'm doing this is just to have people out and play a game of hockey, and lots of fans are coming out. So far, it looks like we might have up to 100 or so folks in the stands, and some people are talking about making signs, and we've got two teams. We've got jerseys coming. It'd be 90 minutes of probably some of the worst adult hockey you've ever seen. But it should be a good time. We've got room for for some skaters. Still, we've got. I think right now we're sitting at 10 or 11 aside, and then skaters aside, and then a couple of goalies. So probably room for two more on each side. And then people are, if they want to donate, if they're going to the game, they can donate there. 100% of the donations, nothing's going into any administration or anything. It's all happening December 9th. And so we start at 2 p.m. For the hockey, and then when we're done at 3:30, we're all going to roll over to the Hat on Jasper, and we're going to have an after party there. And people are flying in from Victoria, some folks coming from Lethbridge. There's a few of us coming from Calgary. It's going to be a really good time. And then, of course, that night is the Battle of Alberta at Rogers. So we're going to go. We're going to go do that. So you go, you can, every day I'm going to be tweeting about this. I've been, as we're approaching the last 30 days, I've been putting a new fact about autism, because that's where the donations are going to go, to Chinook Autism Society. And a couple things I've learned already about autism. So, it's just one of those things that I think we've all been around somebody who's been affected by, whether they've got a child with autism or otherwise, been affected by it. One of the sort of the thing that floored me the other day was $60,000 a year for families on average to, just care for a child with autism. So that this money will go to sensory toys and that type of thing for folks that don't have the income to deal with that. So anyway, that's my PSA for the night. I don't always have a PSA. Actually, I just about always do until this game is over. That'll be kind of the big thing. But it's going to be exciting. I mean, anybody, a lot of the Twitter folks that you and I interact with, they're going to be there. So it should be a good time. And I'll be doing a live podcast as well at one point during it. So it should be good. It's too bad you can't make it out. Do you have plans, Sean, to be out for a game this year? Oh, did I lose you? All right, I think that it's quite possible I lost Sean. All right. Well, you know what? We're gonna call it a night then. Sorry, Sean, if you're listening. Thanks for joining me tonight. No calls tonight. No drunk calls from Toy Boy, who Sean met out in Detroit. As I said before, Sean got cut off there. Make sure you get a chance to listen to the Late Night with the Oil Night. They're always entertaining. Very different from what I do, but that's why I'm happy to host it on the Oilers Live channel. Sean does a great job. Him and Dirtbag Donnie are are quite hilarious. As Kelly from Beer League Heroes just said, you never really lose SPR, do you? And that's true. So that's it. We're going to call it a night. Thanks again. Enjoy your evening. Let's go Oilers.